Strobe warning for photosensitive individuals at these timestamps. Please be advised. How did we get strobes in a fast food tier list? Well, you know me. How Girlypop is your favorite fast food? Today we're going to be ranking on our Girlypop tier list How Girlypop a selection of about, I think, like 60 fast food restaurants are. In terms of the fast food conversation, I really want to focus on customer experience. How does it feel to purchase from them? How does the food blend into the image, blend into the ads, blend into walking into the door or having the food delivered to you, sitting down in the place? Does it feel cohesive? And if it's cohesive, is it Girlypop? Can we give flowers to it even if it isn't Girlypop? Y'all know how it is. If a restaurant has mother, I think that these are the restaurants that truly show elevation. They understand the times, they understand the customers. They have a knack for artistic direction. They have a knack for customer experience, and they are definitely resonating with the Girlypop demographic. Girlypop is like a solid execution. You know, they definitely resonate, and they're doing it very well, just not as elevated as Mother. Okay is like, it's a good experience, right? But it could go either way. There might be a major flaw. There might be something that they need to work on. It might just like not be fully for the Girlypop audience, but we can still appreciate it. We'll go. Looks around is like, they're not totally an awful customer experience, but they're either just like not really going for the Girlypop audience, or there's a lot of work that needs to be done. We're going to talk a lot about how like American capitalism can sometimes breed a little bit of complacency, and that can be shown a lot in some fast food restaurants, and I think that's something to talk about. I think that's a really big thing, especially when we're talking about Girlypop and the execution of the customer experience. It's very vital that you put your resources into making sure that you have a cohesive performance of food. And then Skip is like, no. So let's figure out how Girlypop is your favorite American fast food. Starting off with Applebees, I think that if we're thinking about the Girlypop conversation, it's like, okay, so we want to have like a sit-down fast food experience. Cheap, easy, salty, greasy. I think of 3 different brands here, right? Applebees, Texas Roadhouse, and Chili's. And I think of the 3, Applebees is probably in last place to me. I don't even think that it really has the Girlypop factor. Applebees just feels like microwaved. The brand feels forgotten. The menu feels uninspired. I'm gonna put Applebee's in like, I had to fix my ranking there. I don't know why it looked like that. I'm gonna put Applebee's in looks around. So when I think of Arby's, I think of another abandoned brand. Like when we're thinking about how Girlypop a fast food experience is, like that's the key word, experience. I'm thinking like as the Girlypop consumer, as somebody who wants to go and have a fast food experience. I don't think Arby's is really high up there on the list, because when I think of Arby's, I think of another abandoned brand, another abandoned vision, another abandoned aesthetic. They really haven't moved beyond meat, you know, since I was a child, and I'm turning 30 this year. So like, I don't know. I know that they had like that whole roast beef moment, like 5 for 5 roast beef, get 5 roast beefs for $5 type of moment. But was it even really roast beef? Like, let's be real. I'm gonna put Arby's in a skip. I just think of like cold meat, cold sandwiches, 80s beige brown in the area, the restaurant is wet. Like there's no experience there. Auntie Anne has genuinely been carrying the mall experience on her back since malls died. Like malls are on life support right now, and it's because Auntie Anne keeps footing that bill. And in America, we know health insurance is crazy. The deciding factor of if I go to a mall is if Auntie Anne's is there. There's an experience that you have with Auntie Anne's. It's not necessarily going into the Auntie Anne's because it's normally like a booth or like a little side shop, right? But you can get a little cup of the pretzel bites. You can get yourself a pretzel. You can get the cinnamon. You can get the salty. Are you feeling sweet? Are you feeling salty today? And then you go shopping. You look for the deals. You exclusively go to the clearance section if you're like me. Auntie Anne's, she's there to sort of be with you in the experience. Like as you are spending money, you're getting the dopamine hit, and as you're eating the pretzel bite, you're getting a dopamine hit. It's very Americana. It's a very sophisticated package. It works seamlessly into the shopping experience. And I think that's why we have to put Auntie Anne's in Girlypop. Baskin Robbins. We're really talking about spending money on something that you literally eat. Like you're eating your money. And I think in 2025, that's a really big conversation to be having. What with the climate of the world, health, and the economy, fast food really is a choice.
Choices.
And the thing is I don't really see myself ever telling the girls, let's go hit up a Baskin Robbins. And if we're having an ice cream conversation, especially because she likes to sit in the freezers a lot, Ben & Jerry is the girl that I'm gonna be picking every single time. Honestly, skip. I'm not into it. I think that there's other ice cream girls that are doing it better, and I'm just now remembering that we need some ice cream representation in here. So give me just a second. Ben & Jerry's, they do have restaurant locations. I do think that as opposed to Baskin Robbins, Ben & Jerry's started out in the freezer and then moved into the restaurant business. But here's the thing, is she moved in and really took Baskin Robbins' spot. Ben & Jerry's has got the flavor, they have the diversity. You know, what type of ice cream girl are you? They have predicted it. The science behind their creativity, really, we have to give flowers to that. They are a very, very creative duo, Ben and Jerry. They have a flavor, an experience for every type of girly pop. It's the naming conventions. The cows, the branding. I'm gonna put Ben and Jerry's in mother. Blimpie. There are gonna be some obscure ones, and because fast food in America is very, very regional sometimes, I don't think that Blimpie's is everywhere. Blimpie's is something that I only really ate when I was around like my dad's like sort of like friends when I was like 5. Looks around, because there's something the blimp, like why are we doing a branding of like blimps? Like why is the aesthetic a blimp? Bojangles.
It's bow time.
It's bow time.
Bow time.
Just because you can put an entire bottle of seasoning on something doesn't mean you should. Bojangles.
It's bow time.
I feel like a raisin. Like the salt has just absorbed all of the water in my body. And that's not giving NOLA. They're trying to give you an aesthetic, they're trying to give you an experience, they're trying to give you a certain type of branding, but they never, ever execute on it. But if we're talking about how girly pop Bojangles is, it's not really giving anything. Like, it's not an experience, it's not satisfying, it's not obscure, it's not gnarly in like the cat's eye way. It's just like, ugh, skip. Bruegger's Bagels. I included this on the list because I used to work at a Bruegger's Bagels. I've worked at a few places that have like breads and bagels and stuff like that. And I'm gonna be real, they don't compete. And that's a whole like sort of subsection of the fast food experience, is like the bagel fast food. If you like any of these things, this is not a reflection of you as a person. I'm really trying to be objective, right? Because when I worked at Bruegger's Bagels, you better believe I brought home like 12 bagels a day. I think that it was against the rules. I was also the baker there. I used to bake there. So what are you gonna tell me? I'm making the bagels, I can't take them home? Sorry, you don't pay me enough to go get bagels myself. And that's just the tea. It looks around. Bruegger's Bagels really waters down any sort of like experience. Like, I don't want to take anybody to Bruegger's Bagels. Anytime I've been offered Bruegger's Bagels, it's never really been like a girly pop experience. And I think that like in fast food, American fast food, there's a huge like incentive to create a customer experience, a customer identity, and Bruegger's Bagels really lacks all of that. Buffalo Wild Wings. I don't think anybody goes to Buffalo Wild Wings anymore. There's another girl that took her place. I'm gonna say skip. As much as I like Burger King, I will say that it's not fully girly pop. Burger King has the same vibe as Arby's, right? And I love a Whopper, but I hate the rest of the menu. They always are like, have it your way, have it your way, have it your way. Have what my way? It's just burgers. And everybody does burgers. You do the Whopper really well, but I would argue that it's because of that mayonnaise. There's something in the Burger King mayonnaise that just really makes my brain go crazy. There's nothing elevated about it. It's really relying on the Whopper, and they don't really do anything to try to sort of adapt with the times, adapt with the culture, niche it down. This is gonna sound really crazy, but there are a lot of fast food experiences that benefited a lot from like a monocultural time. Now with like the advent of the internet, I mean, you clicked on this video, right? Everything is so specific these days. And Burger King feels like it comes from a bygone time, and it hasn't done anything to sort of find itself these days. It's just the Whopper. Auntie Anne's has something that's like really, like I could immediately identify what makes it unique. Ben & Jerry's, I could immediately identify what makes it unique, but Burger King is just kind of like middle of the road. I'm gonna say that Burger King is okay. I do think that Checkers has an image, like it feels like you're going to the racetrack. Everything feels a little bit zesty. Like the food it isn't necessarily like spicy or zesty in that way, but they add a little bit more black pepper to everything. It's a little bit more cheesy. It's a little bit more greasy, but not on accident, on purpose. Checkers has like a bit of a vibe to it, and I think that that makes it okay. Like I won't say that that vibe is girly pop, but it makes it like, you know, it's an experience. Let's go to Checkers. Let's go to Rally. So Chick-fil-A does something really crazy where they serve sickening food. We can't be wrong about that.
Shout out to Chick-fil-A.
They have sickening service. We can't be wrong about that.
Welcome to Chick-fil-A.
But they also kind of act sickening in the same way. And I think in 2025, it's not that necessarily a fast food American company is the end all be all for how I go about my day-to-day life. But in 2025, it feels a little bit icky. And I will be real, all of the stuff that they get up to, Chick-fil-A, y'all know what y'all get up to. Y'all are relying on that really limited chicken sandwich menu. And I'm sorry, it's not cutting it anymore. There's another girl who's popped up into the game and she's really beating you. But the thing is this is like a little bit of like a monocultural brand experience where a lot of people, like from where I come from, there are Chick-fil-A, every Chick-fil-A location I've been to in the state that I live in has a line leaving the parking lot. And it just feels like loaded messaging to me. And that's where I'll leave it. Chick-fil-A looks around, because if I'm really trying to be objective in the culinary experience, the food is good. The food is good. Like at the end of the day, the game that she's playing, she's doing it well. But there's a lot of other stuff around it that really makes the experience kind of icky. And when I say kind of, I mean very. Chili's.
We're here at Chili's. It's Brittany's first time ever.
No, Chili's is in that group of things where if I want a sit-down experience, like a sort of like, what is that? Like a sort of sit-down steak sizzling experience. A sit-down sizzling experience. That's the word. If I'm looking for a sit-down sizzling experience, me and the Girly Pops are going to Chili's. There is another brand here that has a superior menu to both Applebee's and Chili's. But Chili's itself is she's the all-rounder. She really is. I'm gonna put Chili's and Girlypop. Chipotle. Chipotle is the first fast food restaurant that I have worked in. And I've worked in 3 on this list that I can remember. And I'll be real. Back when I worked there, the food was made very well. I've worked in some places that make some really gnarly food, and not in the cat's eye gnarly way, the traditional gnarly way. Chipotle does not do that. And I know that she gets in trouble with the girls a lot. I know that she gets in trouble with the girls a lot with the portioning and all this kind of stuff, but it's really the demand, honestly. Chipotle has a very Americana experience in the sense that it is a little bit Tex-Mex, but it's also very Americanized at the same time. It really represents how America truly is a mixing pot. It feels like modern Americana. You get students there, you get blue collar, white collar people in there, you get gym bros in there. Everybody loves Chipotle. She's not necessarily going for an elevated experience. It kind of feels the same as Bruegger's Bagels in the sense that she's a little bit too scared to go any extreme way, but she puts it in the work. It's very Beyonce. You know, she puts it in the work. At the end of the day, that Chipotle bowl is going to hit every single time. And you can have it your way, just like at Burger King, as they say. Except at Chipotle, you truly can have it your way, as long as you can pay. You know what? I'm gonna put Chipotle and Girlypop. It's a very well-rounded. It's a full-on execution. It's great. If I take the Girlypops there, I don't think that they'll be mad. Chuck E. Cheese reminds me of Pikachu in the sense that she has had all the work done under the sun. and still it's not working. How do you mess up arcades and pizza? There's no artistic direction here. In fact, they have stripped Chuck E. Cheese from a lot of that funky artistic direction that gave it its identity in the first place. And if there's one thing that a girly pop does not like, it's an insecurity over your truth. I'm really sad to say it, but Chuck E. Cheese is kind of a skip now. It kind of is. She's abandoned everything that we knew her for. She's not fun anymore. I don't hear anybody talking about Chuck E. Cheese except for like the next flop that she's done. Chuck E. Cheese is bankrupt. Chuck E. Cheese is desperate for money. Skip. I'm sorry, Chuck E. Cheese. I don't want to be involved in that. It's just too much. Church's Chicken. They call themselves Church's Texas Chicken, but I've never heard Texans claim her. Texans in the chat, Texans in the comment section, Texans around the world. Let me know. Do you claim her? Is that your cousin? The tables have turned. Something has flipped, and we know who we're talking about. Churches, I'm skipping you. I don't want to go to Churches. Cinnabon's logo promises a customer experience that it does not deliver on. If you look at this, it seems rich. It seems like a secret, like they have a secret cinnamon bun recipe that has been passed down from somebody's like Midwestern grandmother who literally had a great grandmother who grew up on specifically only bread, and that family line knows how to make bread in the most purest form. Like that's what Cinnabon's logo looks like. But when I eat a Cinnabon, and trust me, I've tried Cinnabon many times because every time that logo gets me, it just doesn't hit the same. She's marking it. She's marking it. She's relying on the look. She's a visual queen. The ads, the logo, the presentation looks so yummy. But when I eat it, when there's a disconnect, it makes the experience worse. You have to meet me in the middle somewhere. It's sugary, and I think us girly pops, we like a little bit of sugar because it's like sweet, it's like cute, it's kawaii. Looks around. So Coldstone, I've never understood why they have to like fold the ice cream, but I respect the fact that there's a performance factor to it. You know, Chipotle has a bit of a performance factor. Chili's even has a little bit of a performance factor because you get the little sizzling plates. I think because she is in the same category of the diva Ben & Jerry's, the Goliath that Ben & Jerry's is, it makes it hard for her to really stand out. But the thing that she does do to stand out is the performance factor. She also is quite decadent. Ben & Jerry's is decadent in a way that's a little bit prepackaged, whereas Coldstone feels like an ice cream playground. And I can confidently say that because Coldstone retains that customer experience. It almost feels like you're going into like a Build-A-Bear workshop for ice cream. And that's fun, especially if you're like in a group of girly pops, you know, like, let's go get ice cream. What are you gonna get? What are you gonna get? What are you gonna get? It's fun. I'm gonna put Coldstone in girly pop for sure. Yeah. Cookout. Ooh. So you know how like Chick-fil-A feels like a certain type of vibe? Cookout feels like ooh. But the thing about it is Cookout is there for the people who don't have a wallet to choose. Sometimes you just need like a $2 burger and a milkshake. And it's gonna hit. It's gonna hit like a $2 burger and a milkshake. I'm gonna put Cookout on okay. I've seen one Culver's and it's really been interesting to me, and I just wanted to mention it. If there's anybody who's watching who has seen a lot of Culver's around you, let me know what your favorite thing to get at Culver's is. I haven't had it. I'm gonna say it's looks around to me. Dairy Queen could have the same story as Popeyes, and we're gonna get to Popeyes, don't worry. Unfortunately, there's this like air of American fast food in the modern day that feels like you walk into the establishment, it feels abandoned. It feels like it's doing the bare minimum to get by in terms of regulation, and the company itself has no interest in elevating the brand and investing the money into the infrastructure of the company, and Dairy Queen is one of those places. Americans get what I'm saying. When you go to a fast food restaurant that isn't in a major tourist town, like in like your hometown, in the outside towns, in the outskirt towns, you go into a Dairy Queen, you go into a Burger King, you go into a Blimpie's maybe, and it's like, the floor is wet. Everyone there seems sad because minimum wage has not been adjusted since 1872. Food feels a little bit sad. Half of the menu isn't really available to you. skip. I don't know about Del Taco, but Del Taco is in everybody's mouth. I would put it in looks around because I haven't had it yet, but a lot of people talk about Del Taco. I would put her in okay because people talk about her. The thing about Denny's is Denny's leans fully into the abandoned vaporwave, lost mall, lost middle class aesthetic. I was just talking about Dairy Queen and all that stuff, and it works. They just said, you know what? You want some eggs? You want a place to sit to eat those eggs? Come to Denny's. I'm gonna put it in looks around because as a girly pop, I want more of an experience. Domino's. And since we're finally on a pizza topic, I have to say this. We are really missing out on a pizza experience in America. America has a problem. The thing about Domino's is they just give pizza away for free. You go to a Domino's and if you don't leave with a pizza, if you go to the Domino's site and you don't log off without a pizza, you did something wrong. That being said, wow. You want to talk about experience? I have never been as sick as I have been since I've been to a Domino's. And I thought it was just a local thing. Turns out, many people have had that experience at Domino's. So there's a rot coming from within.
America has a problem.
And I feel like there's a class action lawsuit waiting to happen. I think that the logo is really pretty. Skip. Dunkin. I wish they never went away from Dunkin' Donuts. 4 syllables. That was it. I know that we're in 2025 and everything has to be really, really quick and snappy, but Dunkin' Donuts was much better. Dunkin' sounds disgusting to me. I think, oh my God. I used to love Dunkin' Donuts because Dunkin' Donuts, it was like, you would go in, it's like orange and pink and purple. All the donuts are fun. I wouldn't even call them donuts. They're more like cakes. The drinks, super, super sweet. Dunkin' Donuts is going to give you a sweet, 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 sweet experience. It feels like Al Creamy. Like Dunkin' Donuts is like Al Creamy coated. When you change the name to just Dunkin', it just feels grotesque. Skip. Because I know some of the girls still call it Dunkin' Donuts because they grew up like that, but the next generations are just going to be calling it Dunkin'. Mama, can I have Dunkin'? Ew. Firehouse Subs. I don't even know why she's on the list. Skip. There's nothing to talk about Firehouse Subs. Five Guys.
Who is the Five Guys? I need to meet them mother. I'm telling y'all, this burger good as
I've only been to a few, but every Five Guys I've been into, it feels like bright and clean and like it's very on brand. Like there's a full experience. Five Guys gives you a little bit of something. It makes it more fun to sit down and eat, and I like that. I'll say that Five Guys is girly pop. Yeah. Golden Corral. Wow. You know, now that we talk about it, like I feel like there are people in my base that get what I'm saying. Like as girly pops, we see these experiences, these visuals. And the fun thing about a fast food is you get a visual, you get the branding, but you also get the food taste. Like there's a full package going on, right? And when it comes to Golden Corral, they sit themselves in a certain compartmentalization in my brain. It's Chick-fil-A, it's Cookout, and it's Golden Corral. Golden Corral is the booger-ridden church after party from hell. And I hate to use HE double hockey sticks to describe that, but you get what I'm saying. Every time I've been into a Golden Corral, I've wanted to immediately leave. Golden Corral is a skip. Hardee's. So I had an era in my life. There was a whole moment where me and this person would go to the Hardee's down the street. Oh, and it was somebody else too, and they might be watching this video. You know who you are. The three of us, we would go to that Hardee's and we'd get the most nastiest things. In terms of the customer experience, I would say that it's not cohesive. I don't know what Hardee's is trying to give. And for some of the girls, it's called Carl's Jr. for you. I don't know what they're trying to give. I don't know what the aesthetic is. I've never understood it. I just know that there's like a cheese steak sandwich in there. Hardee's is a skip. It's not cohesive enough for me. Hungry Howie's. Never had it. I think that it's an interesting little logo. I would like to know more about it. Looks around. IHOP. Another truly Americana experience if you think about it. IHOP has a vibe to it that feels like home. It feels like you're inside of like a commercial soundstage. I think IHOP deserves to be in girly pop. So it's actually interesting that In-N-Out and Jack in the Box are back to back. I've never had In-N-Out, so that's a looks around. But Jack in the Box, I'm gonna put that in girly pop. I don't know if the food is good, but I do think that the branding is there, the aesthetic is there, the presence is there. I know Jack in the Box. I know Jack. You know Jack. We all know Jack. Jersey Mike's is kind of like the Blimpie in a way. Jersey Mike's is looks around. Jimmy John's. Jimmy John's is the queen of the sub. I think a lot of people, because Subway kind of was the first, want to say that she's not, but Jimmy John's is the queen of the subs. The sandwiches are good. The experience is like very minimalistic. You always have like, it's like a skater boy is behind the counter, but he washes his hands, you know, like it's very clean, a little bit more like rugged, but clean. It's always ran by like an older skater boy, like in his 40s. And I just feel like only like skaters work at Jimmy John's, or skater adjacent people work at Jimmy John's. And it's really like tea, like something about it is really tea. They like, if you live in a certain town, like a downtown, there's a Jimmy John's downtown, they tend to like deliver the food on bikes and stuff. There's an aesthetic there. There's an experience there. When you buy Jimmy John's, you know what you're gonna get. Like I used to do a show downtown in a place that I used to live, and we would all get like Jimmy John's, and I would get myself a little lettuce wrap because I was like 19, thought that like, you know, eating lettuce was gonna like keep me employed or something like that. I don't know. I was delusional and crazy. But the Jimmy John's guy would come on the bike and give us all of our subs. And it was like an experience, like even if you aren't in the restaurant, they still extend the experience out to other places. I'm gonna say that Jimmy John's is Girlypop. And now that I'm looking at it, Auntie Anne's is mother. It's like if I had an international Girlypop coming and visiting me, and I wanted to take her to a place that had something that felt like intrinsically American, I would take her to a mall and we would have some Auntie Anne. Chili's is in mother. Chili's reminds me of like Cat's Eye Gnarly. And I think ever since Gnarly by Cat's Eye came out, that's like something really big that we have to talk about in Girlypop is like the gnarly factor. I wanted to include Jollibee because Jollibee isn't necessarily considered an American brand, but Jollibee represents something super huge to me, and I'm about to go in on it, okay? I think that convenience food has been a thing, obviously, since like the can. And then suddenly along the way, we started getting frozen foods. I think of like banquet meals and things like that, right? But I do think that like American capitalism, which birthed fast food, American capitalism also has a tendency to become complacent. You see that in Arby's, you see that in Dairy Queen. So with all that in mind, frozen food, I think for like decades, just kind of fizzled and died in the 2000s. Like I remember like the last wave of frozen food was like when like fat-free stuff and like health frozen foods were really trendy. It was like in those like green and white sort of things. And then after that, I feel like people just kind of wrote off frozen food as just like junk food. Something then happened, and it's going to become more apparent as we get older and as like we start seeing it evolve more and more, but something has happened. And the Asian food market has infiltrated convenience food and has elevated it. It's elevated it. I have said it before and I will say it again. Korean frozen food is outdoing all other frozen food right now. Korean ramen outdoing all of the other ramens right now. And I've also noticed that Filipino frozen food is really outdoing, I forget the name of it, but I'm going to show it up on screen, a specific bun by a Filipino brand made in the Philippines. It amazes me that that is a frozen food. I'm saying all that to say that Jollibee is kind of the first Asian fast food brand to successfully have a presence in America, and I think it's one to look out for. The branding is there. It's got that gnarly factor. It's really cute. It's wild. It's fun. The mascot is just like, whoa, who are you? I'm gonna put Jollibee in Girlypop. Now, KFC is one of those girls who successfully broke into international market. When I went and visited Korea, it actually amazed me that KFC looked like that. I think it's fun to see like the Southern fried chicken be exported as like a package, an experience for international audiences. And I want to give KFC credit for that. I'm gonna put KFC in Girlypop. I like to see international KFCs, and I hope that they bring that energy over to America. Krispy Kreme has a tight, sophisticated consumer experience. You go in, some of the places, there was one place I saw, do they all do this? But a lot of them, I know a lot of them do this. They show like the line making the fresh Krispy Kremes. In 2025, when everything is like on demand and super, super fast, it actually amazes me that Krispy Kreme has found a business model to continue to give you the fresh Krispy Kreme experience. It feels personal, it feels classic, it feels Americana. It feels Americana in the sense that everybody can get a Krispy Kreme. It doesn't feel like Chick-fil-A, where I kind of feel a little bit weird about it. And what I love about Krispy Kreme is like they do have other flavors, but isn't it so sickening that they're the only girls out here in the fast food industry that cannot be topped on the glazed donut?
Diva.
And unlike Dunkin, they didn't have to just call themselves Krispies, Kremes. It's Krispy Kreme, and they will never have their donut outdone. That's a respect. They put it in the work. Krispy Kreme is mother. Little Caesars is the kind of girl who's going to be there for you in a breakup. Is going to be there for you after a bad day. It's going to be there for you on a good day and you just want a little bit of, you know, something crazy. Pizza.
Pizza.
I like that, like, they're starting to bring the pizza mascot back.
Pizza.
Kudos to them for trying to carve out an image instead of just relying on the bread and cheese, because bread and cheese will take you far. There's a lot of girls out here doing food trucks. They just sell you bread and cheese and they go crazy far with that because everyone loves bread and cheese. Little Caesars tries to elevate that a little bit. I'm gonna put Little Caesars in okay. Long John Silver. Don't get me wrong, I'm from the South. I love like fried fish. Fast food fish is done. We gotta stop that. That's a skip. Kudos to McDonald's because like heavy is the head that wears the crown, right? McDonald's is the reason why all these girls exist. Let's be real. They literally created the lane. Like they define the lane. What I like about McDonald's is they constantly try to elevate. They aren't afraid to experiment and play. And I do think for a long time, McDonald's was having some struggles. You know, in the advent of like the health craze, like the post fat-free frozen meals thing, I think that McDonald's, when like millennials were first becoming like adult consumers, that's when the nail in the coffin was like finally pinned down, right? The thing is they didn't let that defeat them though. I see McDonald's coming back. Unlike Burger King, who's just relying on just the Whopper, McDonald's is really trying to figure out what experience can me, like any customer, but me as a girly pop, like when I come in, I can see them trying new things. And I appreciate that. I'm gonna say that McDonald's is middle of the road. Moe's. Welcome to Moe's. You know, honestly, if I want like the Chipotle bowl, I'd rather go to Moe's. If there's a Moe's near Chipotle, I'm gonna go to Moe's. That's the customer experience right there. Welcome to Moe's, honey.
Welcome to Moe's!
Ooh, this is like a hefty, sloppy kind of burrito that I'm about to get. It's kind of got that gnarly factor because of it. Welcome to Moe's. I don't care if you wear pink wigs on a Wednesday. They don't care. They want you to know that you're welcome into Moe's. And they want to know just how big that burrito is. And let me tell you, girl, I have never seen the skill that it takes for the performers at Moe's. And that's what I call them, performers. They work there in the kitchen, but they're performers because they are able to still present a burrito to you at the end of the day. Even when I want everything on that line, they somehow manage to give me a burrito. When that wrap should split apart, it is still a burrito. It's the size of my head, but it's still a burrito, and that's commitment, honey. I'm gonna put Moe's in okay though. Mr. Beast Burgers. Let's say this one together. 1, 2, 3. Skip. Mr. Beast literally seems like late stage capitalism if it was a person. I can't imagine that anything that he puts his hands on has creativity, spontaneity. You get what I'm saying. Olive Garden. Fun story. I went on my first date I ever had with a boy. He took me to an Olive Garden, and I told y'all already, I like to eat. I had like cheese and bread and stuff. Like I had a whole food, baby. I was like, man, this was great. Thank you for taking me to Olive Garden. And then he got mad at me because I wouldn't put out in his car. What? I don't think that their food is really anything to talk about. They need to claw their way back up, and I think that they could. I've been seeing them try, but I think that this is one of the brands that really needs a rebrand. It's a skip. Orange Julius. So this is another huge gap in the American fast food experience. Smoothies. We need to bring smoothies back, especially with like all this Y2K stuff, like Gen Z and Gen Alpha. They're so into like Y2K and all that stuff. We used to love to go to the mall and get a smoothie, and we don't do that anymore. And I think because of that, the smoothie has lost a lot of its presence. And every smoothie place has a really good customer experience. Like it feels very trendy. It feels a little bit like, there's a touch of femininity to it, which makes it kind of like naturally girly pop. What kind of fruit do you want juice today? But I don't see people talking about her anymore. I do think that she could come back. This might be a little bit biased, but I'm gonna put Orange Julius in okay. I think that Panda Express could easily get beaten out if somebody comes in to compete with her. She's doing everything right, but she's not doing everything elevated. I see a lot of opportunity for her to get beaten out, especially if like an Asian brand is able to come in and compete with her. Because let's be real, Panda Express, I've had better Chinese food at some like no name hole in the wall kind of place, but Panda Express relies on brand identity. She's reliable and consistent in that. But other than that, I think that she could really get beaten out. I'm gonna put Panda Express in okay. Panera Bread. Another place I used to work, Panera Bread, and let me tell you, the people who would come into Panera Bread were bullies, high school bullies. And don't get me wrong, I love Panera Bread. Out of all of like the bagel experiences I've had, donut, like cake, sweet bread experiences I've had, I want to say that Panera Bread has some of the best like breads to get. So it's like even more than sweet, like some of the best breads in general to get. Panera Bread is like made to be inoffensive to even the most like offended person. And let me tell you, a lot of people who come into Panera Bread are still offended. So I'm trying to remove my bias from here. Panera Bread has a cohesive experience. I think like the cafe, salads, brunchy thing is very well executed. The store matches the vibe. The food matches the vibe. And they have some sickening salads. They do. I'm gonna put Panera Bread and Girlypop. Yeah, the drinks too. Like they're fun. They change it up. They keep it seasonal. They keep their anchoring menu items, but they change it up and they keep it fresh. They keep it fun. It feels like you're going to have brunch at Panera Bread. Papa John's. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Papa John's used to be the spot. Papa John's used to be good. Papa John's is not that anymore. You can even see it in the logo. They've abandoned everything they knew. I don't know what happened. I know that they had that whole issue with the CEO having like a midlife crisis while running the company. Look, y'all are a big corporation. Kick them out. Figure it out. Papa John's, I'm gonna put in a skip. I just think that they have a lot of work to do, and I don't even look their way anymore. And I used to be a die-hard Papa John's fan. Back when I didn't have any money, I would still order Papa John's because they would take me there. And then I was there on the ground floor at ground zero when it started to fizzle. And it's sad. Pizza Hut. I just think that there's a big gap in the pizza experience. I don't think that Pizza Hut has anything to say for itself either. That's also a skip to me. Popeyes is a miracle story because Popeyes used to be lower than Church's to me.
It's this joint right here. All right, y'all ready? This is Popeyes. Look that chicken from Popeyes. Look at him. Oh my God. Look at him.
Ever since the chicken sandwich fiasco, they have really brought themselves back. The branding, the commercials, the food. It's catchy, it's fun. When you go into Popeyes, everything is like white and orange and it's like bright. It feels like you're inside of like an orange creamsicle. And I'm gonna be real, their chicken sandwiches are kind of beating Chick-fil-A. You can block me about it later. I'm gonna put Popeyes and Girlypop. I think that they're bringing it back. I do. Qdoba. I think that Qdoba's on its way out. This deep into the conversation, I'm gonna put it in looks around. Chipotle is outshadowing Qdoba. Jimmy John's is outshadowing Jersey Mike's, and those two, they're out. It takes one bankruptcy and they're out. Quiznos, that's even worse than Qdoba. Like, why is that even on this list? Skip. Raising Cane's. I haven't had Raising Cane's, but I know many people personally who swear by Raising Cane's. The sauce, the Cane's, the chicken. I'm gonna put Raising Cane's in okay. I think Smoothie King, this might be like a regional thing, but I think that Smoothie King has a little bit more presence than Orange Julius. All of the Orange Julius comments I made still apply to Smoothie King. They all feel kind of the same. There's not really a smoothie place that is making itself stand out. Like, that's a big opportunity to like stand out. What's your vision? What's your artistic direction? What's your customer experience? I'm not getting that from any smoothie places. Speaking of that, I'm not getting that from any pizza places either. Because of that, I'm gonna put Orange Julius and Looks Around. I'm gonna put Smoothie King in okay. I don't know what Sonic is. When I think of Sonic, I think of like soggy onion rings. I don't know what they're going for anymore. Do they still skate? What has their food ever been? I think that Sonic is just too messy. I'm gonna put Sonic in a skip. Starbucks. I kind of, Trixie Mattel said something interesting and she was like, you know, I have a lot of opinions about what's going on in the world, but I also understand that I'm the person that you put on when you get home from work dealing with the world and you're dissociating. So I try to keep it that way. But I do wanna say this, if Starbucks is going to go into that lane the same way that like Chick-fil-A makes a little bit of like pseudo commentary on things, Cookout makes a little bit of pseudo commentary on things, Starbucks kind of does that too. And that makes the whole consumer experience quite icky. Starbucks now is always going to be tainted with the idea of like where my money is going. And I'm not saying that all of these companies are innocent. We're talking about American fast food chains. I'm sure each and every one of these girls have some dirt. But Starbucks is the most apparent. And that really goes into the consumer experience. With all that being said, I do think that Starbucks as a brand, in terms of artistic execution, they're still sort of affiliated, which is like such an interesting sort of contrast. Everyone who works at Starbucks is like, it seems like queer or an ally. And that's so interesting to me. I'm gonna put Starbucks in okay. I think that what Starbucks needs to do is really rewrite the narrative, and I think it might actually be quite easy for them. But that's a really sticky one. That's a sticky one. I don't know what happened to Steak and Shake. This is another place that I thought went out of business. Ever since I learned about Steak and Shake, I've always been confused. It's like, why did you put steak and shake together? That makes my stomach hurt thinking about. And maybe like that's their niche and that's why they've like gotten so strong, is because they do have like a really loyal fan base maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna put Steak and Shake and Looks Around. On the topic of Subway, I just recently became aware of the V-cut and how we lost it. Shout out to Paradise. I was watching his stream and we had a whole memorial service to the V-cut.
Thank you, everybody. Whew. I'm sorry. Sorry I wasn't talking. I was getting really emotional, and I hope one day we can turn around, make things right. Please go to your local Subways.
Ever since they lost that one guy to that crazy revelation that we had about him, they've really, like, Subway was really riding on celebrity for a while, and it's like been petering out since then. Like, it's been a decade and they're still petering out. They have that feeling of Dairy Queen where when I walk in, everything feels abandoned. It just feels like they need to close shop, rethink it all, and bring it back. Subway's Looks Around, because I'm not gonna lie, I do still like a Subway sandwich. You know, they still have like, they kind of did what Chipotle does before Chipotle did it, but I still prefer Chipotle. Like, everyone has their own like Subway sandwich. They have their own toppings and their sauces and stuff that they like. I think a Girlypop can really express themselves in their menu. The experience is like really lacking. Taco Bell, whoever is on the Taco Bell marketing team knows what's good. They adapted straight up to the modern day. They play around with the menu. They keep it fresh. They keep it fun. They do collaborations. They do really great marketing. I think the update to their logo is like minimal. I might be wrong. It feels like they updated it. It feels minimal, but it still feels right. It doesn't feel like they lost anything. If anything, it feels as though they are growing and expanding. I feel like Taco Bell has more presence than it's ever had now. I think that Taco Bell truly is at the top of its game. Really, really good. Really, really good full package. Taco Bell is mother. Texas Roadhouse. So Texas Roadhouse is in that category of Applebee's, in Chili's. While they have a superior menu, I just don't think that the girly pops are going to reach for it. I think that we'd rather go to Chili's. I'm going to put Texas Roadhouse in okay, because that bloomin' onion is truly iconic. Like, that's like their one trick, like a certain queen or a certain like pop star that does like a wig reveal, or like You know, Christina Aguilera is always going to do that belt. Britney Spears is always going to do that spin. Texas Roadhouse is always going to give you that bloomin' onion. Now, Waffle House is the Americana experience remix. Let's say that. The state that every one of us find ourselves in when we go to a Waffle House, because we're all responsible for this as a community, as a society. We make the experience. Waffle House doesn't necessarily do that. Their food also doesn't ever taste like it has flavor to me. I'm gonna put Waffle House and looks around. That's an anomaly to me. Wendy's is also one of the girls at the top of her game. Wendy.
2 Frosties. Chocolate or vanilla? Vanilla. Anything else? What's your sauce? Oh, where you get that wig from? No, I'm Wendy.
Let's say it together. 1, 2, 3. Mother. Wendy is doing the American fast food burger the best. They change them up to make them feel a little bit more elevated, but it still has personality. It still has a color scheme. It still has a look to it. The food is like, it's easy to understand. It's simple. While Burger King got complacent and McDonald's just lost its vibe, Wendy slid right in and wrapped it up with a bow. Like, that's just perfect execution. Whataburger. Never had it. At this point in the conversation, I don't know if I have a lot to say about it. Looks around. White Castle. The only thing that I can think of with White Castle is like an aged pop culture reference. Harold and Kumar go to White Castle. I used to watch that all the time as a kid. I couldn't tell you what the story was about. I don't think that even as an adult I could tell you what it's about. But I do remember as a kid, it worked so well for me that I asked my mom to get me some White Castle. And I was like, it's not that good. Looks around. Wingstop is gnarly in the cat's eye way. I had a whole moment, I think 2 years ago, where I was just eating Wingstop and Wingstop and Wingstop and Wingstop. Like, there's something about Wingstop. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna put Wingstop in okay. That one's kind of hard for me to unpack. Zaxby's is no. Branding, no. Customer experience, no. Food, no. You look at the Girlypop and the Mother and even the okay, and there's something there. It's like, I want to have this experience. I want to go with my girls here. I want to order this in. I'm not getting any of that from Zaxby's. No. Skip. And that is the Girlypop tier list of a lot of fast food brands and restaurants. I'm not going to say it's all of them because I know there's a lot, but I hope that this felt thorough enough for you. Yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Obviously, we'll do more Pokemon when Pokemon stuff comes out, but Nintendo is very hush-hush about things until things come out, but you know that I'm going to be covering Pokemon when it comes, or anything. I have other video games I want to cover too, but I'll stop rambling. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. Bye!